Hello.
Jade and I worked at the Lory Park Zoo in Midrand, quite close to the Gautrain.
We met up with Sophie Vrard, who's the manager of Lory Park and acted as our supervisor.
We decided on completing 2 tasks. The first was to paint murals for the 4 dry terranium enclosures. The second task was to design PVC wall panel prints for the 6 wet enclosures. On day 2, we purchased paint, gathered our equipment, and started on our first enclosure.
After mixing paint, we moved the baby leopard tortoises into a temporary enclosure.
We cleared the scenery, cleaned the walls, and laid plastic bags on the floor and taped around the openings.
So Jade and I are busy on the first enclosure. We've just finished painting the sky.
After our base coat, we applied detail.
Once the spaces were completed, tortoises were moved back into their new home.
Mr. Toothpick, the pteroneck, was the owner of the next enclosure.
After our first attempt, painting sped up as our technique improved.
The spaces were incredibly small, with humidity and temperature pumped up to 35 degrees. We felt really cooped up.
Mr. Toothpick seemed to enjoy the new view in his home.
Neighbours weren't impressed with the new renovations taking place.
Day 4 involved renovating the rat snake's home, which featured many trees and a lot more detail and more time.
The final mural was for our friend Charlie, who carries the same colours as his original habitat.
His enclosure was a bit different because of the feature wall and proved a struggle to paint.
Despite the crammed space, we managed not to kill each other.
After completing the murals, we tackled our next task. The wet enclosures required designed PVC panels to cover the cracking paint due to the high humidity.
The design panels will be printed by Lory Park. Our Photoshop skills was what was required to design the panels with right dimensions.
These are some of the final panel designs. The designs also required high image sourcing, as well as the blending and cutting of additional fauna and flora for the specific habitats.
The remaining funds were donated towards the eventual, rather expensive printing of panels.
The prints were handed over to Sophie, who, along with the animals, were happy with the results. We overcame our fears of approaching the slightly more dangerous animals, and in the process made some great new friends.
We learned new skills in terms of painting techniques and computer skills. We gained a new understanding of how sensitive these terranium animals were to a change in their environment in terms of temperature and humidity.
Lastly, we learned how important it is to have a mutual respect for the animals, zookeepers, and of course, each other.